Okay, hello and welcome here to exercise 2.7, which I'm re-recording because I had a video problem, so I have to do that unfortunately. But this exercise is going to be an introduction to random numbers, and I'm also going to use it as an opportunity to show you how to explore a module such as the random module in order to guess which functions to use. So the way I'm going to do that is that I'm going to go here to exercise 7 and then I'll create a new file called scratch.py. The name doesn't matter, but I use that to solve these exercises. So first off, we need to import the random module, and that's because this module contains the functionality to generate random numbers in Python. And then let's look at some of the exercises. So the first one is where you need to generate a random number between 0 and 1. So how do we do that? Well, you don't really know what function to use from this module. And that's a very normal situation because, where would you know that from? So there are two ways of solving that. The first way is to go to Google and simply ask Google, and that will usually work. But there's a faster way that I'll actually invite you to consider in this situation. And that is to simply use Python's autocomplete. So you can see that when I print a period here after the module name, it suggests a number of functions and other things that are available to me from this module. And then it's usually possible to simply use these names to guess which one to use. So for instance, I noticed one's called random, and that kind of sounds like something that might work. And then when I write the parentheses, it actually shows the documentation. So it says that random generates a number x in the interval 0 to 1. And that's what I want to do. So that might give me an idea that I can solve this exercise like this. Where this should generate the random number. And we can see that when I run this file now, it looks like it works. Okay, so let's look at the next one. In this one, we need to generate a random integer between 1 and 10. So again, maybe I don't know how to do that, but if I look at these functions that are available, a random integer, that's probably something with rand, so I just type RA, then we can see there's one called rand int. That seems reasonable. So then I look at the documentation, I see it's given an A and a B, and I can even see that it tells me that it generates a random integer in this interval, including both endpoints. So that immediately also tells me that I should call it with 1 and 10 in order to get the desired result. Then we can just confirm that that works, and it seems like it does the right thing. Let's move on to the next one and just check what we need to do. So here we need to generate two random integers between 5 and 10. That's a bit... we can just reuse this idea. So in this case we need to start at 5, and then maybe I do like this to get it formatted a little nicer, and that'll actually work. Okay, let's look at the next one. Choose a random element from a list of strings. So in this case we imagine that we have a list of strings, so that could be dragon, dog, cat, and unicorn. And then I want to select a random element from this list. So there are a couple of ways of doing that. One way is to use the random choice method. And you can see that it selects a random element from a non-empty sequence. So that sounds like what I want to do. And the reason why so that seems reasonable. So now we can see that it selects a random animal name here. Okay, So let's move on. Sample 10 times from this list of integers with replacement. So I guess we can do that using a for loop. Oops. And I'm not sure I want to print this out. Let's just print it out to just confirm that it works, but it becomes a little bit annoying. So I think I will just solve the exercise and not print out a result. And let's just do this 5. Okay. So now my output is not completely polluted. Okay. And now we need to sample 10 times from this list of 5 integers, and we're given a side condition. The probability of drawing each number must be proportional to the number itself. So the probability to draw 1 should be 1 over 15, because 15 is the sum of all these integers. Probability of 2 should be 2 over 15, and so on and so forth. So how do we do that? Well, maybe we'll try to explore the random module. And I noticed before when I typed in choice that there was a choices function, and that sounds like maybe something that could be relevant. So let's look at the documentation. So the first, it tells us that we need to put in several arguments. The first is a population argument, so that would probably be the elements we need to sample from. The next are a weight argument, and we can see here that the weights affect the probability with which a given element is sampled. So we can actually use this weight parameter to solve this problem. And then the last argument, k, has a default value of 1, and this is how many elements we are going to sample, and 1 is fine in this case. So we can solve this exercise by just putting in the integers, and then we can specify the weights as what is given in the problem. So 2 over 15, I'm becoming a little bored of typing, 3, 4, 5. So we'll just do this. And that should actually do it. So let's try to print out like this. And now when I run this function, it should have a higher probability of selecting a higher integer. Okay, so we see there's actually a bit of a problem here, because it returns a list and we want it to return an integer. So we can just add an index here in order to select the first element of the list, and then we get an integer. So now it looks like it works. And now we can see that it tends to sample larger numbers because of the way we specify the probabilities. Okay, so this is how you can accomplish various tasks with the random module. I solved these problems by using the autocomplete function, and that's one way of doing it. But of course, if the autocomplete function doesn't suggest an immediate answer, you should of course ask Google, or you could potentially also ask ChatGPT, which is also excellent for these kind of simple questions. So thanks for your attention.